Well, time sure does fly when you are learning and having fun. To all of you who were enrolled in Introduction to Critical Race Theory, as well as those of you who audited Introduction to Critical Race Theory with Hillman Talk here on TikTok, this marks the end of our journey together as a course. And we have covered quite a bit of ground together. We looked at the foundation of critical race theory, learning of the founding philosopher. We read some of the works of key critical race theorists. We learned the central tenet of critical race theory, that race and racism is a permanent feature in U.S. society and indeed more broadly the world. From there, we learned about the social contract. We critiqued the social contract. We looked into what is required for the social contract to even exist in the first place. Then we moved on to learning about whiteness, that it is not just a type of identity, but it is a type of property with interest that is protected and enshrined in law, and that it extends rights, benefits, privileges, protections, and entitlements. And one of those manifestations is stand your ground laws. And while we could have looked at several laws, right, including Second Amendment law, which is, embedded in there with stand your ground laws, we looked at stand your ground laws to really understand what is going on. And specifically within that moment of study, neoliberalism came up, something else that we were able to learn and tie into our time together. Then from there, we learned about what an intervention is in academic spaces, that it is a contribution that allows any given academic field of study to be deepened and expanded. And in this case, as relates to critical race theory, we looked at critical race feminism, and we centered the experiences of Black women to understand more what an intervention is. And accordingly, we read the Combahee River Collective Statement, and we looked at Kimberly Crenshaw's piece on intersectionality so that we are clear about what intersectionality is and what it is doing. And after all of that, we brought it all back together to make it very, very clear what racism is and what it is not. Because if the central tenet in critical race theory is that race and racism are a permanent feature of U.S. society, indeed the world, then we need to be clear about what racism is and its functions in society. That race is a type of technology that does a thing, that has a purpose, that serves the nation state. So we have covered quite a bit together. Now, with that stated, there are various aspects of CRT that we were not able to get to that do exist. We could have looked at the Fourth Amendment. We could have looked at Second Amendment. This is a very expansive field. But now what you have is a working knowledge of what this field is really about. That CRT is a critique of law. Yes, we bring in history. Yes, we bring in sociology. We bring in all of these different fields. But what is at the center of this field of study is a critique of law. And that is important. Why? Because law is the structural force that not only holds society together, but it informs society at the same time and also informs stratification and inequality in society. And that lets us know that what we are experiencing currently in society in terms of inequality and stratification, that is a decision that was made intentionally. In other words, that race and racism is seen to benefit the overall arc of the nation state. And this is why critical race theory refers to itself as a movement, because it is compelling us by way of studying law and understanding it to do something about what is going on. So, with that being stated, I won't be going anywhere, probably about for the next month or so. I'm going to be jumping into my regular content that I do, which is not too far away from what we covered in the course. You can see some of my content that I do that's pinned on my page, as well as in some of the older TikToks if you scroll down, right? So I'm going to do that, but keep your eyes and ears open, because the community has asked for certain projects that I am currently, working on and trying to figure out how to bring about. One of them is a book club. I have a book in mind, and I'm going to work on how we structure that. And I am going to make it accessible here on TikTok, just like we did with the course. Also, it seems that there is interest in me teaching another course. So a course that I am potentially looking at is the role of Black women in U.S. history, and that may be taught maybe sometime toward the summer, somewhere in there. So, with that being stated, it has been a sincere pleasure to learn with each of you. I have learned from you. I hope that you have learned from me. In each of the moments that we now experience together as a nation, indeed a world, hopefully you will have a new set of questions that allows you to understand the paradigm that we are currently operating in, and that will hopefully help you understand what these attacks on DEI are really about, right? That they are trying to take this 14th Amendment and really invert it and say those that are actually dominant persons in society are being discriminated against, and we need to protect them and thus keep in place the same inequalities and disadvantages that have been in place for a very long time. All that to say is that it's been a sincere pleasure to be in this learning space with you. And don't worry, I'll be around, so don't go anywhere. I definitely have some TikToks that are coming your way that I think you'll be interested in. I'll see y'all next time. Peace. Oh, I almost forgot. If you are just now coming across this course, don't worry. You're still on time and the course is still accessible to you. All you have to do is click on my profile. There you will see a playlist, Hillman Talk U CRT. In that playlist is the course syllabus. You want to look at the titles of the pieces that need to be read, and you can type the title of those pieces into your internet browser and they will pull up. They are widely available on the internet, minus the last one, which is why I taught it in detail, right? After you have your readings, what you want to do is then start going through the lectures, because the lectures are now available on what? On demand. And if you are enrolled in the course, you need to go back and review something, well, the lectures are there too. So jump in. You can do a self-paced, self-guided learning experience. You can share with friends. You can start a studying group. But hey, jump in, do your thing. You're not late. You are on time. And the videos will be there as long as TikTok is around. Okay? So go ahead and get started, and you can have a self-paced learning experience. So that way we are all clear about what CRT is, what it does, and the arguments that it's making. I'll check you later.